this meeting order of the Delaware County Commissioners on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. First order of business is to elect a new chair for the coming year. And with that, I guess I'll nominate Mike Dell.
Second the motion.
Move in second. Mike Delger would be the incoming chairman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Congratulations. As we are out of rotation, I wonder if we can table the electing vice chair for a while.
I'm okay with that.
Do the rest of it.
Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead with public comment. Anyone have any kind of public comment?
I do. I was told that there would be a meeting about two of the roads, White Horse and Valley Lane, about making them county roads.
There is a hearing for White Horse. That's up for 10:45, but Valley is not gonna be addressed at this time.
Okay, guess I don't need to be here for that.
We are gonna take a look at Valley later on. We're just trying to get some more paperwork together for it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome to stay and watch the process, though, for the road you're not interested in. If you want to see what'll happen in the future, it's up to you guys.
What time is that gonna be?
10:45, about half an hour.
10:45, about half an hour? Yeah, might as well. Thank you.
Do we have minutes?
It should be right in front of you there, Mike.
Oh, okay. Set the motion to approve the minutes for December 18th.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes for December 18th, 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you sign that or do I sign?
I guess my name's on, I guess I'll sign this one.
COS reviews, no COS reviews. Guess we will close this meeting and open a public hearing to adopt a resolution to establish mileage, lodging, and per diem travel rates. The resolution establishing mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for Broadwater County business travel. Whereas the Broadwater County Commission wishes to adopt a resolution establishing mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for business travel in accordance with 218.501 MCA and 218.502 MCA. Now therefore be resolved, the Commissioners will adhere to mileage, lodging, and per diem rates as set by the state of Montana for state employees. Is there any public comment on this?
Is that the same info that got sent from Mako on their, that they sent out
Yeah,
like 2 weeks ago?
yeah. Hearing no other public comment, we'll close the public hearing for establishment of mileage, lodging, and per diem. Reopen the hearing and adopt a resolution to establish mileage, lodging, and per diem business travel rates.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt said resolution.
I'll sign it.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt said resolution. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Close the Commissioners' meeting and open a public hearing to adopt a resolution to establish hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. A resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices, whereas section 74102 MCA requires the Board of County Commissioners, with the cooperation of each separately elected county official, to establish offices for all offices in the county, and whereas section 11216 MCA provides for legal holidays observed by the state of Montana and Broadwater County. Now therefore be it resolved that Broadwater County Commissioners, in cooperation with county elected officials, establish regular office hours for county offices to be open to the general public from 8 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and shall be closed on all legal holidays. Health Department. The Health Department, including the WIC program and immunizations and licensed establishment programs, shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and shall be closed on all legal holidays. Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and shall be closed on all legal holidays. The Sheriff's Office serves the needs of the county on a 24-hour day, 7-day week basis. Treasurer, Clerk, and Recorder, Election Superintendent of Schools. The Treasurer, Clerk, and Recorder, Election Superintendent of Schools office shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and shall be closed on all legal holidays. The Motor Vehicle Department will be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and shall be closed on all legal holidays, but will close for titles at 4:30 p.m. The County Treasurer may, in the interest of safekeeping of funds, security, and records under their control, close their offices during a period from noon to 1 p.m. every day. All other county departments and those under the direct supervision of the Board of County Commissioners shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and shall be closed on all legal holidays. Hours and days may be modified as determined by the department heads to better serve residents, accommodate workload, and provide for lunch and field work. Is there any public comment on these hours? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for resolution of establishing hours. Reopen the Commissioners' meeting. Entertain a motion to approve the resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve hours of operation. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Close the County Commissioners meeting and open a public hearing to adopt a resolution of regular meeting dates, location, advertising of the Broadwater County Commission. Whereas the Broadwater County Commission wishes to establish its regular public meeting dates in accordance with section 752122 MCA, and whereas section 23103 MCA requires the Commission to develop procedures for permitting and encourage public participation in decisions of the Commission that are of significant interest to the public, and to allow public comment within the jurisdiction of the Commission. Now therefore be it resolved, the Commission will hold their regular meeting as follows: every Monday except in the case of a holiday. If the regular scheduled Monday meeting day is a holiday, the meeting shall be held on the Tuesday following the holiday. 2, every Wednesday as needed. 3, all meetings will be held in the basement meeting room of the Broadwater County Courthouse, 515 Broadway, Townsend, Montana. All meetings will begin at 10 a.m. The Commission may, and with proper posted public notice following Title II, Chapter 3 MCA, designate another meeting time, date, and/or place. The Commission will post agendas in 3 public places: bulletin board in the US Post Office at 501 South Front Street, Townsend. Broadwater Schools Library Bulletin Board at 201 North Spruce, Townsend. Broadwater County Courthouse first floor and basement bulletin boards at 515 Broadway, Townsend. To assure adequate notice and assist public participation before a final decision is made or final action is taken on any matter that is of significant interest to the public, the commission will post an agenda specifically identifying such matters in Broadwater County Courthouse on the first floor and basement bulletin board at 515 Broadway, Townsend. The commission will follow Robert's Rule of Orders, the Broadwater County Opening Meeting Policy, and the Broadwater County Public Process Policy. The commission may continue an agenda item. The commission will provide reasonable time for any person to submit data or comments in writing and orally prior to final action that may be taken by the commission. Such submitted information shall be made part of the public record. All meetings of the county commissioners are open to the public unless closed as provided by statute and the Constitution of the state of Montana for legal strategy or to protect the rights of privacy of employees or members of the public. Notice will not be given of routine managerial matters or impromptu discussions with county employees, vendors, and other citizens. Any public discussion?
You know, we haven't had a meeting in Three Forks in a while. And, you know, we had a pretty good turnout the last one. There was so much hustle and bustle and so much development going on down there. I think that should be, we should kind of make that a routine, to get down there to hear what those folks down that end have to say. Like I said, there's a lot of growth down there. Lots of folks coming in, lots of issues, and I think that unfortunately during the normal Mondays and Wednesdays, they're not able to get up here and entertain. So I think maybe we should find our way down there again and hear what they have to say. They're getting to be quite a populace down there, and I think we need to hear what they have to say. So that's just my opinion.
Mr. Chairman, I strongly agree with when we used to have quarterly meetings in Three Forks. I think we need to get that back and going to engage some of our folks that don't live right here.
Would those be at the same time, then? Would you have them at 10 or?
We had the last one, I think, in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, we did it in the hotel, and I don't travel, that, Three Forks is now a travel lodge, so I don't know if that's gonna work effectively, but, you know, I don't know why we couldn't talk to the folks at Stockyard. And there's some pretty big businesses going in down there, and I know I get an earful quite often when I come across folks from the Three Forks area, about things that they feel and things they're happy with and things they're not so happy with. So, you know, I think we try to do it have an evening meeting or something like that, like we did last time. Maybe we can get more people to be engaged and come into that.
We don't need to change the resolution.
No.
Because this could be covered under the clause that says we can change a meeting day, time, as long as we post it. We've used Wheat, Montana. I think the Stockyards is a great option. We did use that once. I think with new leadership, we could actually make that work in a way that's more conducive to getting more people together.
Yeah, because they do a large seating area.
They
and
do,
So
yeah.
it just, there's a lot of folks that are getting concerned, so.
Yeah.
Any other public comments? Close the public hearing for regular meeting dates of Broadwater County Commission, reopen the commission's meeting. Chair will entertain a motion to establish the regular meeting dates of the Broadwater County Commission.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Moved and made and second to approve the resolution of the regular meeting dates of the Broadwater County Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mike, we've also had meetings at Winston and at the bunkhouse.
Okay,
in a way, and at the schoolhouse in Raidersburg, it's kind of a way of us traveling out to the citizens rather than always having them come here. So I think the idea of Three Forks, I think needs to be number one, but I'd like to re-implement those traveling meetings as well in the coming year.
Yeah, we were out and not intervened, but we went out to a meeting in Raidersburg at the schoolhouse several months back, and I thought it was very productive. It was probably 2.5 hours of lots of good conversation, lots of good information sharing. I thought it was really good, so, I think it's good to be out there.
next on the agenda is close the commissioners' meeting and have a public hearing to adopt a resolution to allow a vote of the people for the continuing 3-year hospital district mill levy on the May 28th, 2018 election ballot. Whereas the Broadwater County Hospital District advertised, voted affirmatively, and signed a resolution to place a continuing 3-year mill levy request on the May 8th, 2018 election ballot. And whereas the purpose of this election is to approve a property tax levy in the amount of $287,000 and for approximately 20.64 mills for the period of 3 years. This levy will replace the currently expiring 3-year levy of $170,000 per year, and whereas this money will be used to support general organizational operation of the county-owned local hospital, including but not limited to building maintenance, equipment upgrades, and medical program enhancements. Let it be known that passage of this levy would cost homeowners $27.87 a year in tax on a home valued at $100,000 and $55.74 a year on a home valued at $200,000. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County, Montana, will allow a vote of the people for the continuing 3-year hospital district mill levy on the May 8th, 2018 election ballot. Is there any public comment on this? Hugh?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my name is Hugh Van Swearingen. I'm the chairman of the Hospital District Board, and that board is not confused with the Broadwater Health Center Board, which actually runs the hospital. I think the district board has a responsibility for looking out for the county's interests in connection with the hospital. We have a big investment to protect there. That building is ours, and it needs a lot of maintenance, and it's continuing to grow. While we're asking for $287,000 over $170,000 it was, that's a damn near 70% increase, which means a lot of money. Because of the growth in the county's tax base and the increased value of the mill levy, it only amounts to about 34% increase in property taxes, which is fairly modest considering the maintenance needs we have. It's an increase of only $7.13 for a home built, home valued at $100,000, and $14.27 on a home valued at $200,000. And really overall, at the tax rates, we're only talking about a tank of gas. But the cost of it going down, to see a doctor over there. Money well spent, and we really do need the money for maintenance on that building. But we also have always been called upon for some operational support. So I really urge, I think we really have to have this vote, and it's up to people to decide if they want the hospital or they don't. We really need the money. Thank you. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Any other public comment? Close the hearing for the resolution to allow a vote of the people for continuing a 3-year hospital district mill levy on the May 8, 2018 election ballot, reopen the county commissioners meeting, entertain a motion to approve a resolution to allow a vote of the people for the continuing 3-year hospital district mill levy on the May 28th ballot, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt said resolution.
Motion's been made to adopt said resolution. Is there a second?
I had a lot of calls on this in just the last few days. And got to make a list of some of the comments that I was getting from the people. And one of yours is when asking for the $1 million here just a while back, they asked if there'd be any more PILT money asked for and different things. The answer was no. And another comment was that there's been close to $1 million from the county already given to the hospital. And another $1 million from donations and fundraisers. All the comments are, nobody's surely against the hospital. They're against the operation and how it's going. So that's the comments that I had, or phone calls, I should say.
Mr. Chairman, can I just clarify one point?
Sure.
The county did not give the hospital $1 million, and I think that needs to be solidified and solidly understood. The county changed an investment that was going to CDs that we were collecting less than 2% interest on. We changed that investment to a federally backed Medicare, Medicaid, I forget which, I get the two confused, but federally backed investment into the hospital. Took the same money that was going to CDs over a 10 to 15 year maturity time of less than 2% realized to federally backed investment in our own personal hospital here in the county that will be realized in what, 3 years or 5 years at 3% interest. What we did with the citizens' money is we made a more wise, short-term, higher interest-bearing investment. It wasn't a gift of $1 million. So I just want that clear, and I'd like the record to show that that clarity was made.
I have a question about that, what she just said. It sounds like a pretty good investment for the $1 million. However, where did the $1 million go?
It didn't go anywhere. That $1 million would have been invested in CDs with a maturity rate many times more than it's currently at an interest rate of about a third less. So what we have is reserves. Those reserves are put into CD investments right now, and it's scattered at different banks. We have some at State Bank of Townsend, some with D.A. Davidson. What we did is we took $1 million of that investment and we just changed the investment to a local investment. Again, quicker maturity, higher interest.
I
It was
understood
a
that.
good plan.
What my question was is, who got the $1 million and what did they do with it? Apparently it was related to the hospital.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
the
they have
hospital get the money and spend it?
No, not just spend it. What they had was a change of the hospital, which actually put a gap in the money they get from the federal government for Medicaid or Medicare. So whereas they were getting that money every month, this change was gonna put a gap in that revenue for them. This $1 million was just to just fill in that gap, and then at the end of this process, they will get that money refunded. That's what's going to pay that investment. And that's why it's federally backed. So the risk is minuscule, just like CDs. Nothing is without risk, but the risk is minuscule. Does that help?
Somewhat.
All right. It's complicated when you talk about health insurance, health care. it's a complicated monster. It's not as simple as the personal checkbook. So if you wanna get together for coffee, I would be more than happy to kind of just open up everything we have, show it to you so that you can touch and feel all the facts, and then it'll, I think, translate a little bit better.
I will second the motion for the resolution to allow a vote of the people for the continuing 3-year hospital district mill levy. I think one of the things that hasn't been mentioned here is that last year, the county gave the hospital $218,000 PILT money for an intergovernment transfer. The change of the license at the hospital, we're not allowed to do that anymore, because they changed from a nursing home to a critical access hospital. So if you take that $218,000 that we gave him in PILT money, and then you add the $170,000 that was on the mill levy, they were getting $388,000. So essentially, we're saving about $90,000 by not giving the PILT money and still giving this mill levy. So it's not like, I think in actuality, it's saving us $90,000 a year. So I think that the mill levy, I mean, I'm not campaigning for it, I support it, but we're a lot better off to have this as a vote of the people than just the commission decide. So I'll second the motion. And we'll call for a vote on the issue. All in favor of the resolution to allow a vote for the people for a continuing 3-year hospital district mill levy on the May 8th, 2018 election ballot?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
I'm not opposed to it going to a vote of the people, but I'm opposed because of the comments that I received. When that $1 million one come up, I had way over 200 calls on that. And this one here is just in the last few days, but anyway, that's my reason, and
So what is your vote, Franklin?
no.
Voted 2-1, motion carries.
And I think it's a great opportunity for us as commissioners, and I invite all of you to give us calls at any time. We are more than happy, again, to spread everything out on the table, give you all the facts. But it's a great opportunity to share the facts when people call us. So I just want to thank people for taking the time and asking the questions.
So we're ahead of schedule here. I guess we'll go through some mail. You got the mail, Frank? It's right here. A letter from Alan L. Christofferson in reference to the possibility of vacant position on a Brattleboro County Canyon Ferry Trust Board. I'd like to submit my letter of interest to this position. I believe I could bring a lifetime of experience and a wide range of expertise of working to this board. Throughout my working career and volunteer experiences, I have worked diligently to keep the public interest, fairness, trust in the forefront of whatever I was dealing with. I will bring this background to the workings of the board. I've attached a brief background or resume document that will provide you with some insight into my qualifications and interest in working on this board. I have sent a copy of this letter electronically to the commissioners. Please feel free to contact me by phone at 406-439-0197 or by email at elktrack71gmail.com. Thank you for your consideration, Alan Christofferson. Please read the other letter.
Oh.
Did you see this, or do you want it?
No, that's okay.
I provided a copy to Nicole.
I'm just
Okay.
opening some of these up for you, Mike.
This is a receipt of a payment from William Finer for restitution. Did this get addressed?
Yeah.
And zoning compliance for Capital Concrete?
Now was filled out and mailed, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a letter from Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks. Requesting public review and comment on proposed hunting regulations for 2018-2019. Public comments on these proposals will be accepted until January 24th at 5 p.m. with final adoption at the February commission meetings. Items for proposals, to read more and comments, suppose the following links provided. 2018-2019 deer hunting season, 2018-2019 elk hunting seasons, 18-19 antelope, 18-19 turkey, upland game bird, proposed biennial quotas, Helena urban deer plans, game damage management, special CWD hunt quota, criteria for exception on the ban of ungulate urine for chronic wasting disease, and establish a 4-day youth-only deer season instead of the 2-day, the years when the MEA does not immediately precede the opening general of big game sessions. Letter here from Record Managements. Record Management LLP has been servicing business in Montana since 2004. They recently sold their business to Iron Mountain Information Management and its affiliates. Going forward in December, we'll carry the same phone numbers, use the same email addresses that you have always used here at MRM LLP. New contact information will emerge as the transition takes place over the next several months. The business will continue to offer the same services with future growth in other areas that I could not make happen due to limited resources. IRM and its related affiliates boast a vast array of business services that only a global company can offer. Visit ironmountain.com to view the opportunities and growth this company has amassed and is now sharing here in Montana. This is a claim from NACO for membership renewal.
All that needs is a signature here of the chairman of the Board of Health, which is Franklin. Or,
Yeah,
we didn't re-vote on that, did we?
we need to vote on that.
No, we voted as the Board of Health,
Oh,
and that's why we need Franklin's signature.
the Verizon wireless bill for Commissioners 9639.
And then you and I, if we still approve, need to sign it so we can expedite that payment.
Montana Mining Magazine. Montana Department of Transportation.
Yeah, so Franklin should keep that. I think this was also, we each got one of these, so this,
Yeah,
I'm guessing is
wastewater.
Franklin's too. I know this was.
Industrial waste. Letter from WWC Engineering. Claim for dry creek. Do we need to put this into a claim?
Yeah, we don't need to put it into our mail, we just need to give it to Michelle to put into a claim.
Letter from DEQ. variance for water quality. New rules for variance of standard for water body conditions. Public health thank you notice, well wishes for New Year's. Have claims here to be paid. Accept a motion to pay the payroll expense claims in the amount of $178,297.46.
Move to approve payroll in the stated amount.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded to pay payroll claim expense in the quoted amount. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion to pay the claims $37,643.54.
Move to approve payment of the approved claims in the stated amount.
I'll second.
Motion's been made to pay claims in this amount, same amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed. Motion to pay the claims in the amount of $121,110.83.
Move to pay the approved claims in the stated amount.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pay the claim in the said amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Notice from DEQ to issue a wastewater discharge permit for the town of Three Forks. Bills here from Northwestern Energy, Silos, Senior Citizens, CenturyLink Internet Commissioners. Bills from Independent Record for advertising. He's got it over the shop.
Yeah.
Calendar for TD&H Engineering. Anything else that we can discuss here? We're about 5 minutes early for the next agenda item.
White Horse Road, I think. Yep. Yeah, I think she'll be here.
Okay,
If you want, Mike, the agenda states that these issues and times are subject to change. So you could pull something that there hasn't been, you know, like the approved, the journal entries, exactly. It's nothing that, is more than managerial.
We'll move on to the, approve the adjusted journal entries for the month of October.
I believe they've all been reviewed by at least 2 of us. Probably should double check that in case there was something that came in at the last minute, but that is still the case. I've moved that we approve the adjusted journal entries for the month of October 2017.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the adjusted journal entries for the month of October. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same.
And then one thing you should do is just put approved on the bulk of them, since they're each individually signed by at least 2 of us. And then we file them in the office just behind us. That'll be something the auditors look for, just to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to prevent
Okay.
temptation of fraud. Another item we could bring forward is the grant for Indian Creek Trail. We already voted on that, it just wasn't in the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So we could bring that up if you wanted and fill another 30 seconds.
So we'll discuss the WWC Engineering Approval Grant for Indian Creek Trail Project.
Bless you.
Coco, were you involved with the Indian Creek Trail project that we approved last week?
I had a conversation with Jeremy
Okay.
at WWC, but that has been, I've had limited involvement.
Okay.
I support it.
But we approved the go-ahead for this grant, we just didn't approve the funding, right?
Well, not even that, because the grant will be the funding, and then our match will more than likely be in kind. It just wasn't spelled out in the agenda that we okayed Jeremy to pursue the grant. Really, we wouldn't have to necessarily have a vote until we got approval of the grant.
Okay.
But just to make sure that we don't have any holes for anybody,
Okay.
it was added to the agenda. So I move that we affirm our vote of 2 weeks ago and approve a pursuit of a grant for Indian Creek Trail project.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second to approve the application for a grant for Indian Creek Trail project by WWC Engineering. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now we'll close the commissioners' meeting and open a public hearing to adopt a resolution to designate White Horse Road as a county road on the section line between sections 2 and 11 and section 3 and 10 of Township 7 North, Range 1 East, Broadwater County. Any comment? Dave?
I've got a question and regarding the bigger picture, not just White Horse Road. With the number of new homes, subdivisions and everything coming in, there'll be more and more requests for the county to take over the maintenance of the roads, which means more cost for maintaining those roads, and it doesn't seem to me that we really have a way of generating income. I'd like to know what the commission and the county is doing to raise revenue to take those roads, to take on the maintenance of those roads. And even before they take on maintenance of the roads, shouldn't the road be up to county standards? If it's not up to county standards, then are you required to bring them up to county standards right away? And I know a road's really important, it's important for fire, and if it's in bad shape, you can't get fire trucks up there. So my question is really about the big picture, and are we doing anything to look into this problem and to address it?
I would think a lot of that is addressed by your subdivision regulations now as far as the state of the road and how the road's maintained.
You brought up some good questions there, all right. Actually, the best way out, I think, is for these individual roads to have a separate RID on them. Because, like you stated there, we don't know how many different ones are gonna open up for
So
this
is there any
challenge.
plan to actually look into this problem and adopt a process before you accept a road for county maintenance and incurring those costs? This isn't the only one that's gonna come up. I don't see a process, I don't see where it's been looked at, and I know that these roads are critical, but how do you pay for them? That's my question and comment.
That's what if I could go ahead and say, it's through an RID, that the people there, if they want it, then they sign it, and it's taken care of by the users of that particular area, which is probably the most fair way of having it, where these things have already, I would just say subdivision that weren't actually subdivision at the time, but kind of branched off into it, things like that.
Are there rules that subdivision roads are up to county standards? Is that in the subdivision set of provisions?
That is now. You want to explain that, Nicole? Or?
Yeah, surely, it is in the county subdivision regulations for any new subdivisions.
So what do we do with the old ones?
Right, that's the question. We don't have any, there's no mechanism to go back and force them to improve that road if they're not changing their property.
That's where we're at with
Yeah.
Dave's question. That's just where we're at with Dave's question is, what do you do with subdivision roads that were prior to the new regulation?
Well, that's the ones we have to address, and those are the ones, like I stated, to me, the best way is an RID on them.
Well, my major concern is that the pressure for money to maintain the roads and bring them up to standards and everything else will then put pressure on you to make decisions to remove money from the sheriff or the county attorney or the treasurer. And it's a balancing act. And I don't see anything going on that is intended to deal with this problem. It comes to you, we talk about it, but is there any internal process that can be implemented to bring this to a head and have a solution? And recommendations to you so you can vote on it. Is there anything going on?
Nicole, could you kind of explain on the RID part of it, and how some of that's taken place in the past?
I certainly can. So an RID is a rural improvement district. It's created by the people of an area. It's not something that this commission would want to implement and enforce on people. It takes 60% of the landowners, so not homeowners, folks that own the land, 60% to agree to this rural improvement district. They agree to the level of service that they want, so that could mean grading twice a year, that could mean paving. That's solely the agreement of the individuals involved in the rural improvement district. 60% of them need to vote in favor of it. Then it goes through the process with the county commission with the county commission and myself, where we determine what that dollar amount would be for the level of service or improvement that they desire on that road. It's then added to their taxes and assessed twice a year on their tax bill, equitably among the 100%. So even if 100% of the landowners don't agree to an RID, 100% do pay for it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
How big an area are we talking about there? What's the perimeter of the roads? How far does it go?
It's determined by the individuals.
Did it go from Antelope across to Foster Drive and over in that area?
You absolutely could form that as a rural improvement district.
We could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it has to come from the people, it doesn't come from the county. We would never force that on you. In fact, I don't think that there's any provisions in MCA where we could force an RID on
Well,
you.
how does this all come up?
With White Horse Road specifically?
With road improvement or the county taking the road over, where did it start?
So there was discussion, a few weeks ago at the commission meeting regarding White Horse Road, whether or not it was a public road or a private road. I don't think a determination was ever made or anything was stated publicly in that meeting. The commission then asked if I would draft a resolution creating it as a county road, so simply we could have this discussion. So, to back up a little bit, BLM is improving, or they have improved, a trailhead at the far end of White Horse Road, so at the far western end of White Horse Road on BLM property, just past the railroad tracks there. They questioned whether or not that was a public road. So that's where this whole discussion started back up, even though I believe it started in 1913, and it's just keeps coming back.
Well, then, for this road, are the rights of way, up to, whatever the county has for standard for the size of the right of way for a road, does White Horse Road meet those standards? Is the road up to county road standards now? And are they expecting the county to come in and bring it up to county standards as soon as you accept it as a county road?
Do you want me to answer that? Okay. So I have some information here which I know is not all-inclusive, and Attorney Swanson and I have spoken about this. There is a designated 60-foot easement for White Horse Road. Whether or not it's public or private is really the question. But there's definitely a 60-foot designated easement that shows on several documents and platted certificate of surveys. Still unsure if it's public or private, and so that's something, that's going to be an ongoing discussion between the commission, Attorney Swanson, myself, and the BLM, as well as any landowners out there, to try and figure out whether or not that is public or private. So going to your second question, and I may have missed one of them in there, sorry, but whether or not the county has to improve them, there is MCA code that states the county does not have to improve county roads.
But in order to take the road over, it has to be brought up to these or up to specifications.
I'm not sure of that. I don't want to speak to that. But there is an MCA code, 714-2101, regarding the general powers of the county relating to roads and bridges, as to whether or not the county actually has to maintain those roads. So the county could take on a county road, or let's say have ownership of a road, so it's a county road, but they don't necessarily have to maintain it.
Wow.
One other piece I'd like to answer for you, Dave, if I may, is it is illegal to take money from the road department or from the sheriff's department and swap it. The road department is a standalone department. The Department of Revenue determines how many mills and how much money the road department has. That money cannot be given to another department, nor can it be taken, or nor can somebody take from another department and infill it. So it's, to have more roads equates to perhaps more gas tax money to help with maintenance. That's a federal and a state issue. It's not taking from law enforcement to support the road department. That is illegal. So hopefully that helps with that. One of the reasons we're looking at this is a safety issue. We did have, I think it was the first meeting, which would, this is the third. Corey had said this is a public road. So we already have that, but it's still not known by everybody. So at the last meeting, there were some issues with barricading the road. Well, if it's a public road, you can't barricade it. But some people don't believe it's a public road. What this is an opportunity for us really just to clarify the status of that road. One for BLM, one for the citizens who live on that road, and another for our weed sprayers, our road maintenance folks, our ambulance drivers, those different folks as well. We just need clarity.
So I guess I'll offer what I know and don't know at this point. So I looked at the documents that Nicole has. I'm aware that there's other, I think, historical documents out there that we need to get. So there was the documents that we have right now demonstrate that in 1994, November of 1994, the Nagels granted an easement to property owners that were farther up the road, farther west up the road. Cooper and Burgess, is that correct? And then a week later, Cooper and Burgess granted reciprocal easement to the property owner in between Nagels and themselves, Castiglione, or an Italian name similar to that, which gave all those property owners west of Nagels access to go on the road, maintain the road, and for their heirs, successors, and assigns. That easement from 1994 was not a public easement. That was specific to those individuals that the easement was granted to. Where it gets complicated is that ultimately one of those landowners sold property to BLM, which is a public entity. And so one legal question is, does that therefore translate that private easement to a public easement, anyone that BLM would allow on there, which of course would be pretty well the whole world? Or would that exceed the scope of that easement? So there's going to be some legal research needed for that. But backing up from that, I thought that I've been made aware of documents, I don't have them, showing that there was an easement in 1980 on that road had an easement from 1980. I haven't seen that document, so I don't know the scope of that easement, but also indications that there were documents prior to 1980 also designated an easement there. So there's more research that's needed to nail down exactly not just the 94 easement and its implications, but also things earlier in time that are going to likely answer this question. So somewhere between 1913 and 1980, there was an effort to, let's go back to 1913. 1913, there was an effort to designate that as a county road. Tell me if I'm wrong on any of this, but that the county commission did not actually finalize the creation of a county road in 1913. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
So the question is, were public easements established between 1913 and 1994 that make that a public road, number one? And number two, did the sale of Burgess's property to BLM translate that private easement into a public easement? I don't know the answer to those questions just yet. Yes? Go ahead. Well, the other final thing I would say is, if the property owners along that road want it to be a county road, they can always petition the county for that. So.
Is that, are you talking about Valley Drive in specific? Valley Drive is private too, isn't that the sagebrush?
I don't personally know, actually. Wednesday, yes.
Somebody should know.
And Nicole, can you share anything from your conversations with Tara? Tara Depew, who's the land use attorney for Mako?
I can. Can I ask you, do you think it would be appropriate to read this portion of her email aloud? Just so I'm not paraphrasing what she says. The happy Thanksgiving. I'll leave out the happy Thanksgiving for the rest of it. Okay. So I emailed Mako Land Use Attorney Tara Depew to ask her the question. I have an email here. My question states, Whitehorse Road has been declared a public road by former attorneys John Flynn, Tom Budowitz, and Pat Hooks.